being the problem. Can we have conversation? And everybody's just not going to agree, and that's fine. But when does that really become the problem? Speaking out. So let's just get right into it here. Let's bring him up on the stream here, and again, thank you folks for coming by. We appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button if you like. If you don't, tell me what you don't like. Leave some comments down there in the suggestion box. Let's get into this here. He's fixing to break in here to intro this. He was at a restaurant having some lunch with friends at a casino out in Vegas, and he'll tell you the story. But this guy pretty much says he is whatever he does for a living, and he's afraid to speak out on his opinions on whatever they are, politics or whatnot, afraid that he can lose his business, those kind of things. So let's jump over here and see what he's got to say.
So we're in Bahamas this last weekend. We took a couple hundred people there. Vinny, one night, we laughed. You made us laugh for 3 hours straight. I had an ab workout by the time we were done that night. Well, we walk out of this restaurant, and this one guy comes. He says, "You're the Twitter guy." Another guy comes. He says, "You're the TikTok guy." I'm like, "I'm the TikTok guy. I don't even know, So, but the Twitter guy that I'm talking to, I said, "Tell me why you're saying I'm the Twitter guy." So I see your Twitter. He said, "You should have me on your podcast." The guy says this to me, good looking, successful, Middle Eastern, Jewish, wearing a $50,000 watch. And he says, "You should have me on the podcast because we agree on a lot of things. I'd love to kind of tell them what's really going on." I said, "Why don't you have a podcast?" He says, "Oh, no, I can't have a podcast." So why can't you have a podcast? He says, "Well, because, business is going to affect us." I said, "You're the problem. You're the reason why America's where it's at. You are the absolute problem." And he grabs his wife. Wife comes over. These other two guys come over. Every one of them listens to you. So they know content, what we're doing, all this stuff. He says, "Yeah, he is. He's a pussy. He's scared. He's this, he's that." His friend is now joking with him, right?
Gotcha.
So I sat there and I said, "So what are you scared of? Tell me actually what you're scared of." He says, "Well, what do I do? I mean, if I do in New York, I'm in New York. If I say anything, we're going to do this and they're going to do this and they're going to do that." Well, that's exactly the issue, okay? The three communities that I keep talking. I had a great conversation with Dave Smith last week. A phenomenal call together about the three communities. The lazy and scared Republicans are ruining America. The do-your-thing libertarians are ruining America. And the tolerant Christians are ruining America. These.
It's very interesting. I want to go back through that again. Let's just hit that one more time to make sure everybody here is hearing what he's saying here. Okay, try it again.
Last week, a phenomenal call together about the three communities. The lazy and scared Republicans are ruining America. The do-your-thing libertarians are ruining America. And the tolerant Christians are ruining America. These three communities are all generally net positives to society. They contribute to society. They don't take. But they're ruining America because they're sitting there saying, "Well, I don't want to kind of get my name called out. I'd rather just be quiet and not say anything about it because what if the guy's like, what, my real estate business could take a hit." I say, your country could take a hit. Your kids could take a hit. You're worried about the real estate business. But then again, it's a real valid fear that a lot of people are having nowadays.
Okay. So I think you kind of get the gist of what he's talking about there. I really always enjoy his content. Pat Bett he's about my age, Middle Eastern descent, came over here to the States when he was a young kid and went to the military. And, I find myself agreeing with him a lot. And this is a topic, this is a subject that we all need to talk about this. So first thing you said, the problems with America with what's going on now. Number one, lazy Republicans. Lazy Republicans. Okay. And now we can break that down into say, number one, what are these lazy Republicans? What is he talking about here? Well, of course, we're talking about politics and the political party to say, you know what, it's just not worth me, even spending my time to go up here to spin my wheels. I mean, is what I'm saying, is it even going to make a difference? Is there going to be any difference at all in what I'm saying going to add any value to this country? So that it's about what hills do you want to stand on? What are you willing to die for? And we're getting such a pushback, from the left that, and whether you agree or not is not the point. It's the point that what they have to say is just, it's their opinions and things that they've studied and that they've been told, but they're speaking. And what he's saying is this lazy Republican deal is that the Republicans, mostly, not all, they're not speaking. And you know why? Because if we do, then we're being labeled to being, using words like neos and phobic this and I ain't going to use those words. I don't want to get tagged with that stuff on here because it's just not worth it. But you know what I'm talking about. And so, is it worth standing on the hill and dying for that? Well, Pat made a good point. He's looking at the long-term goal for his kids and his kids' kids. So, lazy Republicans. 2, doing your own thing. And we all know people that just get over their lane and just rock it out and just really don't care what's going on at all and just don't want to rock the boat because it's just not really that important to them or just don't have anything to do with them and particularly their sentiment of life and where they're at. And that probably fits a lot of people. Probably, I can consider myself to be in that group, but I'm doing these kind of things, bringing out conversation. Let's talk about this. What can we do? What is the problem? Because that's the name of the video. You're the problem. Speaking out against another ideology of these things we have going on in the country, then you're the problem for speaking out. And then when we get angry, then they point and say, look, see, he's angry. But I mean, these people have been angry all along, it seems like. They've been torching buildings and destroying our country. So, you can see that just doing your own thing, just stay in that lane and ride it out and not do much. And 3, very interesting, especially being around here in the Bible Belt right here in the South, tolerant Christians. And they're going to really, really dig into this about tolerance. So I won't comment a whole lot on that because he's got a lot to say about it. And it's a good topic and we'll get more into it. So tolerant Christians, what are we to be tolerant of? We're supposed to be, have a reverent heart and to be kind and concerning and caring. And, Christ just didn't come just to bring, to bring us salvation in life, but, he came to bring justice. And along with to gain peace, sometimes you have to squash the mess to get to the peace. And just, being tolerant of people that are intolerant, that is where the problem is. So look, they're going to get more into tolerance. They're going to talk more about that. So let's get back over here to it and I'll listen to some more of this.
But even a guy asked a question on the tweet. He says, Pat, I'm an executive. If you go to the other tweet prior to this, because this is a different tweet, go back one. Guy asked a question. Go a little lower. I think it's that one right there. Yeah. Guy asked the question. Go to the bottom on when the guy asked the question. Right there, my response to him. He says, Pat, I saw your thoughts on a podcast and completely agree. However, it is a risk for many of us to speak up. We have bosses who don't agree with us and bills to pay. What do you recommend to combat that? I said, I totally understand there's risk for speaking up, but there's risk for staying silent is much bigger. However, there are creative ways for doing it. If you want to click on show more, you can create a pseudonym to write blogs, a fictional character, burner account that speaks up, a community Twitter account that without revealing it's you, kind of like libs of TikTok. There are many ways to push the envelope. The only thing I discourage you from doing is staying silent. So that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I finally did reveal my face and eventually my name, it was freeing, honestly.
That's something that I'd like to bring up here. And I'd like to hear other people's comments on this. Being silent, and not just being silent, I should say, but you say you are speaking up, but you're just doing it behind a veil. You're doing it to have a voice and to say what you want, but you're doing it by a hidden identity. Or like he was saying, like you could go, start a burner account and you're still getting your voice out there, but still to be an anonymous person. Is it really is it really solving anything? I mean, I guess that's the question. That's what I felt when I first seen that, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'll write this down. Being anonymous, does it make a difference? Does it? You're still getting to say what you think and your opinion on the matter, but if they don't know who you are, then what's really the whole point of it? Maybe a bad comparison is the people that wore those white robes back in the 1800s. Like, if they really believed in what they were doing, it was like a hill that was worth dying for and standing on. Why would you cover your face? If it's that important to you to be against a particular race of people and have these ideologies, if that's your thing, why hide? So my point is this, being anonymous, does that make a difference? Or should you just come out and, hey, obviously they weren't your friends. If you lose acquaintances, because you're going to have a lot of acquaintances in your life. An old man told me once that when you die, if you had one real friend, that you had a real meaningful life. So that's something to think about. Let's get back over here.
It was it's sort of scary because all right, I can't really work a mainstream job in HR if people at my wiki page is calling me a white supremacist and all of these terrible things.
A white supremacist.
Yeah. I'm white supremacy is very multiracial nowadays. Surprisingly diverse bunch. Those
working out now, apparently, if you work out too much, well, yeah. But you know what? You actually, Pat left out a part. Not only were we at a dinner for 3.5 hours and we came out, that interaction with this group, especially with this guy, was like a 10 to 15 minute situation where he not even called them out. I mean, like an audience. It was like a town hall in the casino, and Pat wasn't being quiet. He was going in on him. He was seeing the light, and then his friends were showing up. Other people were showing up, recognizing Pat, and I think calling people out, Pat, was not only like a good thing. We need more people like that. Who, mind you, he has kids in the room. He has enough crap going on where taking that time out in the middle of a casino on vacation to Pat, it was pretty loud. Like, I think we need more of that where it's like, hey, listen, you're not doing your part. You're all freaking
it's
talking.
It's a valid concern. It's a very valid concern.
It is.
So one, we have to understand the level of, like, a guy calls from Hollywood saying, hey, Pat, I fully agree with what you're doing. Obviously, I can't talk about it because if I do, my community, I'm going to get hurt. I said, okay, career-wise. I said, okay. He says, what should I do? I said, do you have a few money if you're in Hollywood? I don't. I said, what matters more to you? Is this a bigger cause in your life than your love for Hollywood? He says, that's something I got to battle with. I said, I totally get it. You got to do what you got to do. But nowadays, the movie, Sound of Freedom, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but I think you want to say something.
No, well, I just want to give you kudos, but also kind of give a little, I don't want to say pushback, but there's a different perspective. So I fully agree with what you're saying here about creating a pseudonym, or even if you don't feel comfortable putting yourself out there, there are avenues to express yourself. No doubt. I would say one of the things I love about doing this is I get to talk my shit, right or wrong. I get to learn. I get to grow. I get to express myself. That's the beauty of doing podcasts. What's interesting, though, is I did a Manect call. Shout out to the team at Manect. Everything's going awesome there. I mean, the guys I'm speaking with.
Congrats on 300 Manects, by the way.
Thank you. It's great. It's awesome.
Manecting.
Connect with us on Manect.
Yep.
PBD, Vincent, myself. Maybe we'll sign you up, Lauren. But I have a call with this guy in Manect. And the whole conversation was, he was like, my business has taken a 50% drop because I express myself too much. I'd like to discuss this is the question. I'd like to discuss with you on Manect what you think I should do. I said, all right, we get on a call. It's a half-hour call. I'm not going to put his name or anything out there. And they've like 1, 2, 3, the names went out there.
It's a valid question.
And I said, like, wow, let me process this with you. And I said, let me ask you something, bro. Do you have any political aspirations? No. Do you have any interest in doing a podcast or anything like that? Zero. I go, then why are you pushing the envelope so much? Because it's costing you $250,000 a year. He goes, that's exactly what I'm grappling with right now. I want to say what's on my mind, but it's literally costing me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I go, but hold on, back up a second. Where do you live? San Francisco.
That's the problem.
That's
the problem.
Are you planning on moving your business at all? No. Like, this is where I'm at. I go, then I don't know what you want me to tell you, bro, but is voicing your opinion worth $250,000 a year? Only you can answer that. He goes, yeah, not really. But I'm glad, this is circling back, I'm glad that you brought up alternative options that people can do. Yes, it's sad that if you express your thoughts and your beliefs, you could literally get canceled or lose clients or lose jobs or lose money. But that's the risk that we're at these days.
But I'm going to support people with like minds. If that means moving, maybe that's what you have to do. So many people.
Silicon Valley. I got you. So to go through this, he's right. It is a deeply concerning thing. But by the way, that doesn't mean that's not the reason why America is in shambles today. That also doesn't mean that. It means guys like him who are afraid to address conversations like this are the reason why the other side is able to get so much agenda. So the whole concept is, what are we intolerant towards? Again.
Okay. This is where they're going to fit next few minutes. He's going to start talking about, what's in, being intolerant, being a tolerant person trying to talk to people that are intolerant. Then it is a problem. It's a huge problem. And that's the kind of things that we're dealing with here, in the country, to where if your idea is just different, then you're wrong. Okay. But here's the thing, before he gets back on this tolerant thing, because it's a very great point. Here's something I'm so curious about, and maybe somebody has the answer. I don't. I'm not a multi-millionaire, and I hope maybe we have one stumble across this video and can answer this for me. Surely to goodness, I'm gonna write this down. Where is the right? And I don't mean right as in right or wrong, in quotation marks. Where's the right owners? Where are they at? Where are these owners of these businesses that, these guys that want to make a cake, and because they don't support this person's lifestyle, because it's their business, now they can say no if they want to, I guess. We thought you could. Where's the people at that we have all this support for the other side, for the right? Because it seems like that when you push back on the left, that there's all these, what I'm saying, all these owners of all these huge businesses, from the ESPNs and the Disney, which owns ESPN, and you see the shambles that they're in. Firing some good people and leaving some idiots. Okay. So where is the right side people? How do they not have business owners that maybe is there out there? They are, but we just don't hear about it. Okay. That's one point. Next, I guess number one thing he went over, lazy Republicans. Is it the thing that, where he's talking about, to interact with people that don't agree with you, that are on a whole nother level. And I've talked to some that are on a completely different universe. And then you can meet some people, most people you meet are they can understand where you're coming from, but they just don't like a few things. But we can agree on a lot of things. And, so where can we meet? We got to find things where we can meet at. And I think there's more things that we can meet on than we don't. So those are things we have to talk about. And then trying to persuade the delivery of the persuasion. And that, I'm just talking about me personally, because that's what I've had to learn to do in sharing my faith with people. You can't hit them with the Bible. That stuff don't work. It's not 19, whatever. It's just different. So, that's the question. So where are these business owners at? And why is it just so rampant fire, when you kind of go against that? And how can you be a tolerant person? His number 3 part was tolerant Christians. Tolerant Christians. Now he said one of those was, now he's a Christian. But see, The thing is, he has a show. Okay, this PBD broadcast, he lives on this. Okay, and I'll show you right down here on the bottom. See, Value Entertainment. That's his podcast channel. Go over there, subscribe, and watch him. There's a few things we don't actually agree on everything, which is fine, but probably 80%, 90% of stuff I do. So for people to say that, well, I've got a business and Matt, and I like to speak out and say some things, against but I'll lose a lot of money. I'll lose a lot of money, and I just can't take a hit like that. Well, if you're not looking to push back or get in, I'm not trying to get into politics. I just like conversation. I stayed in trouble in school all the time for talking too much. Okay. And I just enjoy intelligent conversation, to hear somebody else's opinion besides mine. But I am tolerant because I can listen to it. I may not agree, but I could still see some parts in it that I do, that I could agree with or like about. So they're fixing to get into this part. So probably the next few minutes here is the more interesting part. And we're not going to watch all of it. Probably just for the next few minutes, he gets into a little spot here talking about tolerance and stuff. And that's kind of what the main point of this, how can you be tolerant with people that are just absolutely intolerant? Because tolerance means to listen with an open mind with somebody that you don't agree with, and being able to at least understand what they're saying. But the people on the left there, a lot of them that I talk to are completely shut off, and they seem so angry. So the psycho analysis of the situation, I only had 2 psychology classes in college, a 200 and a 210 class, like an advanced and a intermediate psychology. I really liked that stuff, and I would have degreed in it instead of history. But you had to have a master's in psychology to do anything. A bachelor's in psychology gets you a manager job at McDonald's. So let's think about that for just a minute and give you some comments and just tell me what you're thinking. I want to hear comments on this stuff. When I get up to a few more subscribers, I only need a few more, guys. Just subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. I need like 10 more, because I've just started this thing, really just been this for a couple of weeks. I did a few movie reviews and do some Bible study, and I like his podcast, so I like pulling these clips and talking about them. But the question is, where's the anger? Are they angry because they feel like they've not ever been heard? Well, on the topics of women, women's rights, those are things that's a very big topic. And me being raised mostly by my mom, or I could say I can understand. I side with, we're all, we are equal as God created us, man and woman. We're not the same. So the topic would be women's rights. Okay, so they're angry because they hadn't got enough push towards a topic that they need help with, like, fair pay, or, being treated equally and those kind of things. Well, that's not important anymore, because you have men wanting to be women and compete against them and beat them and win over them and dominate them. So obviously those rights for pure women is not important, because we actually have the government pushing the agendas for men to be able to dominate women. That, like, women can't have their own classification of nothing. Like they can't even compete in. So that's okay. So that's out. So they shouldn't be mad about that. So, the woman screaming out in the streets when, Trump was announced president. I just wonder where they're at, mentally, where are you at in your life to where the leader of the free world winning a nomination literally affects your life so largely that you're emotionally connected in such a way that you cry out and scream like a like a child that was told, no, you cannot have candy until you eat dinner. I don't know if it's got to be a maturation failure of social skills and cognitive abilities to fully have a developed mind to the maturity of an adult. There has to be something there. I don't understand. So, again, I'm trying to figure out, what are they so angry about? When you try to have conversations and then, okay, I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead. That's a good point. I'd love to hear that. I want to hear what you got to say. Where does it come from? Okay, I got it. Would you tell me? Well, tell me more about that. Oh, I don't know. I don't have to. No, you're breaking this down, and we're getting into it now. I'm figuring out. I'm trying to see. I'm looking, and I'm kind of seeing what you're talking about. And I'm listening, but then they don't have anything else. They don't have any facts. Is it just? And it's not all the generation. I'm not going to blame the generation because I have a son in the generation. He's 20. Because you just get answers so quickly and there's no learning process to anything anymore. So you don't really know as much. You just know a quick definition of what does, like we just talked about, what's tolerance, to be able to hear somebody else's side. Okay. But not knowing the full definition or maybe how it's used in a sentence. Or the word fascist, they love to use that word. And the fascism is actually of somebody just completely shutting down your ideas, and I mean, just let's look it up exactly. It's just being intolerant. It is the far right arbitrary. See, it's a political ideology. See, Wikipedia is not. But people's in there doing that. Political ideology and a mass movement in that dominated central. Okay. As a man more experts agree that most political movements, see everything, just basically the term is delivered from the word of fashion means a bundle or a group of people. The principles of it. Everything in here is like it's far right, like it's an agenda. Forcible suppression or operation, it's a hierarchy to, it's basically, since that thing want to give me all these political answers, so it's Google, to silence the other side. But that's what they do. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They run down the street and they throw things at you and they knock windows out. And you want to have a conversation about those things, but there's no tolerance. And they scream fascist, but they're the ones wanting to silence you. No, we don't want to hear it. Shut up. Yelling, and it's so angry. Is it just biblical? And I mean, is it just spiritual? And there's just literally there's demons, involved in these people. I don't, because you can't say yes for sure, but one could assume that most of these, so maybe some of these people that are that way are not spiritually connected, with Christ. Well, I guess we could say that, that they're lost in the world and in their own selves. So anyway, he's going to get into tolerance here. Thanks you for tagging along with me on that thought process. I'm just, I'm curious by nature, man. I really don't understand. I'm so mad about, but let's talk about tolerance here.
Again, I pray for 4 things: courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. I'm having a hard time with the third one, right? Because it's being tolerant, be tolerant. Yeah. I have a hard time with tolerance, right? And then you see Dave Smith tells me about a quote by von Mises. He says, can you pull up the tweet just the tweet right there that you had? Go back to it and go all the way to the top of the tweet. Not that one, the other one. Go all the way to the top of the tweet. Yeah, right there. If you can, there's a quote right there that says, right there, classic liberalism must be intolerant of every sort of intolerance. I have to tell you, I've been grappling with many different words in my life. Why are we lazy? Well, I finally realized why people are lazy. Your life is boring. When we're bored, we are lazy. So you don't want to have a boring life. Make your life exciting by constantly having stuff to do. So,
yeah, boring people get bored. I used to tell my son that a lot. Oh, Dad, I'm bored. Well, boring people get bored. find something to do. Go on an adventure. You can read a book if it's a rainy, messy, cold day, or go outside and dig in the dirt and imagine things. I'm not on another side note here. I've always wondered how, when we was kids, we'd imagine, that we had this race car and we would go sit in our parents' car and race it, pretend we were the Duke boys. I don't know. Where's that at anymore?
So these things you ask questions of, right? This one here, you have to be tolerant. Christians, we got to be tolerant. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be tolerant towards intolerance. If you're going to be intolerant to me, who the hell are you to think I'm going to sit there and take it from you? So the concept of intolerance, we must be intolerant to intolerance. Even for some of the Christian community on the bottom where it says your eyes are too pure to look on evil, you cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent with the wicked? Swallow up the more righteous than themselves. The whole thing he's talking about is why are you letting these wicked people take advantage of weak people? Mm-hmm. I'm standing in the streets. I see a person being bullied. I can do something about it. No. I don't want to ruin my career because what if I save that lady and then the cop comes and arrests me? So let him beat the wife up. It's okay. I'm just going to mind my own business. That's a coward in a way, right?
Well, I don't think tolerance is a virtue at all, actually. It is certainly not a Christian virtue. If you look at the New Testament, you don't really see Christ saying, it's okay, I'm just going to accept this. No, he speaks his mind. He makes a very clear delineation between right and wrong. God, the Old Testament, certainly not one for tolerance. So the idea that this is a virtue, something we should strive toward, I disagree. And it's the same thing with blanket concepts like diversity. We're supposed to believe tolerance is inherently good. Diversity is inherently good just because. But no, they've provided no moral framework as to why those things should be something we strive for. We're supposed to just accept it without question.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Well,
she nailed it, Pat, because think about it. The left, the other side, does not give a damn. They're not. They don't give, and nothing happens to them. So Pat, and I've always said this. It's time for us to be like, you know what? Enough is enough. Open your mouth. If you have to punch people in the face, they're doing it. What we're supposed to just sit back and take it?
I have one thing to say about that. So here's a part. Is it fair to say there's certain people in America that they're going to vote Democrat, even if your argument makes sense? They're never going to
100%. I know those people.
Is it fair to say there's certain people in America they're going to vote Republican no matter what? You can't say anything to them?
100%.
Okay, so the truth is right for both sides. Okay. So who are we really trying to talk to? That becomes a question.
The independents.
If you're trying to talk to the undecided, the independent, the libertarian, the green, whatever the community that's in the middle, the 12%, you have to figure out a way how to communicate with them. So if this guy's talking about this, I know a lot of people that will come and say, well, let me tell you something, fuck this, and you're not converting anybody. The ability to communicate a message as well to somebody saying, I never thought about it, thought about that before. You can do it simply by questioning. You can do it simply by saying, you know what, John, I don't know if public school was like this. When you and I went to public, was it like this before? I just don't remember being like this. The other day, my kid went to school and they did this. What do you think about it? That is a very open, you're not bashing anybody to start a conversation. And the other person can say, yeah, you know what? My wife was saying the same thing. The same thing happened with us the other day. Kids going to school. And I thought that was kind of weird. I'm a Democrat. And I'm like, why do I do that? It's a little bit concerning. I'm starting to hear this. And those are the ways. Hey, don't you think it's kind of weird? Like, look, I don't mind taking a vaccine. I've taken a ton of vaccines. But don't you think it's a little bit weird that, they want pro-choice to do whatever I want to do with my body, which fine, that's a interesting argument. I get that as a person that wants to do whatever they want to do with their body. But isn't it kind of weird that they want to be pro-choice there, but they want to be pro-force when it comes down to the vaccine? It's a little weird, ain't it? It's a way you open up the conversation at workplace instead of just saying, these morons, these motherfuckers. That's also.
Yeah, he's exactly right. That way of communicating, it don't work. That's what I was saying a while ago, about the Bible and about justice, and the other guy there, he was talking about, just going to punch somebody in the mouth. And man, I know. I've been there. You get so aggravated and you're just tired of being tolerant to people that are so intolerant and ignorant. And you can tell them facts. You can show them raw iron facts. From like what we're dealing with, the ex-president is being, in court for exactly the same thing that the sitting guy is done. He done the same thing. And he was even the VP when he got these documents. But why is he not in court? Why? You see, so, and when you can see it live and you can see footage of documents in a car in his garage, and then the ex guy that we had in office, what he done, if he's got those things illegally, then he should be responsible for them. Nobody's above the law except one side. And people are starting to ask questions. People are starting to ask questions. What he just said, go get the stab. If you don't, you're endangering the whole America. Oh, wait a minute. You can't tell that lady what to do with her body. It's her body. It's her choice to do what she wants to do with it. So choosing your way that you want to have life for this lady. But what if that lady don't want to get the poke? Not that she's against it. I'm not. I mean, everybody, we've all had these things in our life because we all went to school, so we had to go get measles and. But then it is a problem. So it's not a problem if you want to kill or to do away with an embryo, but it is a problem if you go against. You see, so people are starting to see this. And I was talking about justice. He will faithfully bring forth justice until he has established justice in the earth. And the coastlands will wait expectantly for his law, his capital H. So justice is going to be brought. And we are to be good Christians and spread the word and tell people about Christ's love. But it also regards it's not just, well, Jesus loves, so you have to love my gayness. No, it's wrong. It's an abomination. It's sin. You're blatantly sinning right out in front of public. Then if you love them, you have to tell them the truth because there is justice going to be brought. And it's not going to be doing things of this world, and that's what you're doing. And that's the point that she made a point about, justice. And he's making this point about people starting to question. So that's how you start these conversations. So how do we do? One, lazy Republicans. Go to these lazy Republican friends of yours and just question how they're doing things. Two, just doing your own thing, stay in your own lane. Hey, is this, you think we're not going to make a difference? What does it matter? Whatever we say, it ain't going to matter anyway. Well, it's not. In the end, Christ is going to come and all this is going to go. I mean, there's going to be a new earth in heaven anyway. That's what the book says. And then three, tolerant Christians. So you just let these people march out in the street with their, half naked in front of children. You can't. So what are we supposed to do? Do what I'm doing. Say something. You don't have to throw them under the bus and be rude, but there's a way to do it. And that's what he's saying. Asking questions to start a conversation and not throwing punches because they're already mad. We done been through that 5 minutes ago, trying to figure out why they're mad. We don't know. I got an idea, a speculation that they have demons in them. They're living in caught up in the world so deeply caught up in the world. I mean, we're all of this. We all come in this world, but we're not supposed to be of this world. We're just passing through here. Okay. So that's just my opinion. I think they have things living in them. Maybe they have some mental disorders. They have had some terrible, tragic things happen to them in their life where family members were involved with sodomy cases or something terrible. Terrible. It changes, it warps children's minds. It changes a human's life. And now this is how they express themselves by cross-dressing. Okay? Now those are just my opinions, which mean everybody's got belly buttons too. Let's get back into this and him questioning how we question this. Where do you start? Where do you go?
That's also not going to work. So a part of your friend that you spoke to on Connect could also be the delivery of the message. The delivery of the message is just as important, if not even more important than the point you're trying to make. You may be right but your delivery is so bad that you push the person away from whatever argument you were trying to make to them. There's a lot of people on social media, and I'll push back on your what you just said a little bit on one of the points. It's easy for us to just go hang out with each other where we agree with each other. It's very safe to do that. You ain't doing nothing special. You're not doing what these great leaders did in the past. We're just sitting there talking to each other, and we all agree, hey, let's just go talk to people. Hey, Pat, why don't you come on this platform? Everybody agrees with you. I don't want to go to a platform where everybody agrees with me. I want to go on a platform where people don't agree with me. I want people to stop in the middle of the street and say, you know what? I don't agree with what you said about this. I said, really, I don't agree with myself also sometimes. Tell me what it was about that upset you, and let's process it together. I think we have to almost have some of those tough conversations, do something with it, try to figure out a way to persuade. Then if we don't succeed, then we got to take a different route. But I do think we have to talk to the opposition side instead of just people that agree with us. You can be a very good person that can find your own audience. There's two types of people. There's those who are going to go give such a great message, bashing the other side so much that the people that agree with this person show up, but they don't convert. Then there's another person that's going to say, let me tell you my way of how I see this here, and this is how I evolved into thinking this way. And then the other people say, that guy just converted me into thinking like that. So this guy finds a community. This guy goes and converts people. We need more converters in America. That's what's lacking. There are too many cowards that are running away just to talk to people that agree with them, and it's safe. We need more fighters. That's the challenge that we're having right now. So when that guy's saying what he's saying, I don't blame him for feeling that way. Maybe he's got to take a couple communication courses.
Well, I fully agree with what you're saying. And that the term that we've all heard over the last handful of years is people are living in echo chambers.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you're on the left, you're just speaking to all your.
Yep. Yeah. So on your wonderful Facebook page, where we all have this page, we pull it up here, and we're all gung ho, and we're going to type a message, and by then I'm going to tell you what I think and how I feel about it. Well, everybody in your group there probably agrees with you. So who are you talking to? I've always said that. You're yelling at the masses about I don't support gay marriage. I don't support gay marriage. But who are you yelling to? So how did Christ convert people? How? How did he do that? How did he convert people? He converted people by standing up and out in front of a bunch of people that didn't even know who he was. And then when they did know, they didn't agree with him. Most of those people didn't care what he had to say. They thought he was foolish, like this Jewish guy that's out here breaking the Sabbath and healing people and telling his disciples to eat, on the Sabbath. He's breaking these laws. That's pretty much the reason they killed him. I mean, he said he was the Son of God. And he pretty much told the rabbis that they worshiped the devil, because if they were real rabbis, they would know who he was. You've been reading these books that I wrote for 1,000 years. You should know who I am. I am him. They should have knew. But he put himself in uncomfortable places in front of a lot of people that did not agree, because he had to convert people. So if we're going to be Christ-like and we're going to try to convert people in this thinking, because they're on this other plane, man, some of them are on another planet, and it's just evil. Some of it's just evil. It's just why they was brought up. There's some of these kids that were just never told no, and everything they do is right. And they just can't take no. And then you have some that will listen. But what he's telling you is how you do it. To really have a conversation. Even if you're not a Christian, you're watching this. Read the New Testament. Read the disciples. Read Acts. Read Romans. And read how Christ spoke to people. You think I'm talking about taking a speech class? He's the greatest to ever do it. Ever. It's the number one selling book in the world. There's 20-something thousand translations of this book. And it is still the same in translations today as it was at the earliest book, which was about less than 100 years away from when John or Peter died. That book is the same. Don't let people tell you that, well, it's been translated so many times, it's been lost, it's in language. No, that's a lie. You can go find that for yourself. So if you want to know, study the best book that was ever written. Study about Christ. Okay? And if you're not sure about where you're at with your salvation, and some of these topics are important to you, about the third one, if that bothers you, you're watching this right now and you're thinking, man, he just called me out. I'm a tolerant Christian. I didn't say go out in the yard and put anti-alphabet pronoun mafia people in your yard, or go and when you see them on the street on somebody's house, rip them down and burn them. But there's a way to do it. And just praying about it, that is great. But we got to move now. We got to have some kind of action. We got to have some kind of guts, because that's the whole reason what they're doing is trying to demasculinize, to take masculinity away. So there's not going to be any guys. We don't want to hear what guys have to say. We just want to convert all the guys to girls and then take all the women's rights away. Do you see it? Okay. Do you see it? Can you see what's going on? It's all confusing times, and all this is going to come to an end really soon. So you need to know where you're going. And if you're not sure, message me, hit the comments, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it. So that's about it here for another Big Matt podcast channel. Then a little reaction here to Patrick Bet David. Go there and subscribe to the channel. I'll leave the link below. You guys have a fantastic